One thing so the viewers might be interested in hearing is, how did you come to be an artist? Is it something you wanted to do right from an early age, or did you just sort of fall into it?
I always wanted to do it, but I wasn't allowed to do it because back in that day, which was a very long time ago, art wasn't considered a proper subject. It was considered something for people who couldn't do academic work. And nobody wanted to mention the fact that I couldn't really do academic work. So I was moved off art, which I loved, onto subjects which I didn't love.
What age?
15, something like
So
that.
You probably didn't have a lot of choice around standing up to your parents around
I
that
had
time.
absolutely no choice whatsoever. I thought they knew best. Or my mother knew best. She always knew best. So I thought, I didn't even think. Back in that day, one didn't. You just did what your parents told you was best for you because you trusted them to know what was best for you, even though they patently didn't. So then it was abandoned. Poor little girl.
So when did you take it up again?
Let me think. When I had children, I had a habit of painting frescoes on the walls. So they had all sorts of animals and jungles painted on the walls. And that was the limit really to my art, apart from helping my children do their art.
It's like it has to come out, doesn't it? If you have an artistic bone in your body, it demands expression.
It does demand expression. I started painting a big frieze all the way around my living room at the top, and it was the creation. So it started with a big bang, and it went through the whole of creation all the way around the room at the top. And I did it in pastels. And it took me ages, and I stood on a ladder for months doing this. Doing this work of art.
So tell me how you work. When you're doing something like that, that's quite a big piece of work, do you plan it out and sketch it in advance, or do you just sort of leap in and start at one end and hope it finishes okay at the end?
I kind of do a combination of both, I think. I don't think when I started that, I didn't really have an idea of what I was doing, and then the idea sort of came as I went along.
So how did you move from that to creating art that might be for other people?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I went to the WEA, and they had a course on Chinese brush painting. This was years and years later. And I'd always wanted to learn Chinese brush painting, and it was just too good an opportunity to miss. So I went to those classes for the next 2 years to learn how to do it. And eventually I could do my own pictures, not just copying, because that's how you learn Chinese brush painting, by copying other people's work and learn how to get the certain effects. But after about 2 years I could do it a bit, and I did some pictures that I liked. And I joined the local art club and took part in their exhibitions and sold things, and I took part in Art in the Gardens in Sheffield and the Great Sheffield Art Show and things like that, and began to sell my work a bit. And then one day I was in B&Q buying some chipboard, OSB, it's known as, that stuff you see on hoardings. And I looked at this panel of chipboard which was about 2 meters high and 1/2 meter across. And I thought, ooh, that looks fun to paint. So I bought a chipboard and took it home and painted it. with Chinese inks, funnily enough, because I had all the Chinese inks. And I used Chinese inks and pastels, and sometimes I used a bit of acrylic because if I wanted white, and I started to create murals on chipboard, and it was a lot of fun.
That's a big difference to delicate Chinese paper,
Yes,
paper
well,
or rice paper. So they're now working on hoardings and boardings.
Hoardings and boardings, and doing big pictures, which did sell. They were quite popular. And I even cut out the shape of, I remember cutting out the shape of a castle at the top of one of these hoardings, and because the texture of the board suggests buildings, it suggests geometric shapes. So I'd use the geometric shapes to create pieces of art. So then I was just exhibiting with the art club, hoping to sell something sometime. I did pastels and I did all sorts.
Was that when you moved into ceramics?
Ceramics came a bit later. It was kind of like having done Derbyshire Open Arts and exhibited in various different places, including our own home. It then seemed like there was far too much art in my life and I had nowhere to put it. And so the question came up, what can you do with your art which might be a useful thing for somebody to buy, an artifact? So then I started transferring the images, the pictures that I'd done down the years, and also some new ones with alcohol inks. That was my one venture, which was extremely successful with the ceramics. Transferring these images onto a special kind of paper, and then that paper through a heat press is transferred to ceramic tiles. And the ceramic tiles are heat proof. They're amazing. I will show you one. Here you go. Here is one that I made earlier. This is actually a combination one between myself and my husband. It's a collaboration.
Oh right, it's now become a family business.
It's now a family business, and he does photography and I do art, and we print onto the tiles. To begin with, we printed onto mugs as well, and lots of things, and bags and tea towels and goodness knows what. But eventually we decided to just go with one thing, which is ceramic tiles and coasters. So that is what we're doing to this very day, and trying to sell them in a local shop. But the next leg of that story, I have to tell you something extra, okay? We did print tiles, border tiles, to go round our bathroom and our kitchen. And they look really good and they last extremely well. My daughter did a heron, which was beautiful, and one of my Chinese paintings we made into a mural to go on the kitchen wall. And that's our next venture, is to we've already designed quite a lot of tiles and border tiles, and then we will go to shops and see if we can promote them.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That's really, really helpful. I hope people have enjoyed meeting the maker.